7 o'clock. I'm calling the meeting to order. We are in the special town meeting of the town of Wareham. So if the voters could come down and sit and have a seat. Anyone who is a non-voter, if you could sit in the section which is to my left where those tables are over there. And because we have a zero quorum requirement, I note the presence of more than 0 people. And it's been pointed out to me, that I was somewhat remiss yesterday evening, and that the did not allow the chair of the select board to introduce you to the members of the select board. So if you would.
Thank you. The select board members present are Ron Bessie in pink, Mr. Alan Slavin with his bow tie, Jared Chadwick probably in uniform, and Tricia Wirtz, who is in her previous life uniform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson, Madam Chairperson. So at this point, we're in the middle of Article S16, Cohasset Road. And yesterday evening, we had heard part of the presentation from the, this is a private citizens petition article. We'd heard part of a presentation from the petitioner. And in the meantime, she has provided us with, maybe we'll put let's put the motion on Article S16 up first so we remember where we are. So motion on Article S16 was to move that the town move my boundary line so my house, 41 Cohasset Road, is inside the boundary lines and not encroaching on the road. So I'm going to recognize the petitioner, and again, if you could, for the record, state your name and your precinct.
My name is Sheila McDonough, Precinct 2.
And you may have to, I'm a bit soft-spoken myself, you may have to either speak closer to the mic or speak up just a little bit so the others can hear you.
Sheila McDonough, Precinct 2.
Okay. And you had provided another copy of a plan which I think is available to be posted on the screen.
Okay.
It was the other, yeah, I think. You wanted to speak to the newer plan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
So at this juncture, since you'd already had made some comments yesterday evening, I'm going to permit you as a petitioner to speak for an additional 2 minutes, and then I will recognize anyone else who may wish to speak.
Okay,
Please.
thank you. So the area highlighted is the area that we're talking about tonight. So right now, currently, that is a private way. And so talking to the engineers, they suggested that this might be a remedy and to just ask that the town take that area and create a new layout from Cohasset Road, which would be on my left, all the way over to Choctaw, which is on the end on my right. And there wouldn't be any taking that would be required from any of the residents that abut up to the roadway. And then where the roadway is the widest, which is right in front of my house, right in almost in the center, between Bungalow Lane and Boston Place. So Bungalow Lane it would be on my left, and Boston Place would be on my right. The town could then abandon that portion and deed it back to the adjacent lot owners, which would be myself. And then also, I should say, my neighbor. She also owns the first 3 lots that come up to start at Bungalow and go along Cohasset. Those first 3 lots belong to her. And then the other 3 lots, with the one that has my house, and the other 2 lots belong to me. So that's what I'm asking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything further to be said on Article S16? Gentleman behind you at the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Barry Cosgrove, Ward 5. I ask that we move the question, but I do so with full empathy and understanding that this is an important matter for a citizen, and perhaps there's someone in the town that could spend a couple of minutes with her and walk through and see what the alternatives are, but this doesn't appear to be the best forum for her. And with her interest in mind as well, I ask we move the question.
So I'm hearing that you moved the previous question. Is there a second on the
Second.
motion for previous question? Motion made and seconded to go to vote on Article S16. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes by a majority on the voice vote. So we'll now proceed to a vote on Article S16. And the motion on that is I move that the town move my boundary lines so my house, 41 Cohasset Road, is inside the boundary lines and not encroaching on the road. All those in favor of the motion as I've just read it, please signify by stating aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by stating nay. The motion is passed. Article S1.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town approve the following transfers within the budget lines in the FY23 budget as approved in Article 7 of the 2022 Spring Annual Town Meeting. From police salaries, $80,000 to general town insurance, total amount $80,000. From accounting salaries, $14,600 to planning salaries, $14,600. From information management technology salaries, $2,400 to assessors' salaries, $2,400. From information management technology salaries, $7,000 to information management technology expenses, $7,000.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded on Article S1. Is there anything to be said on Article S1?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just so everyone's clear, this is done within the budget, so this isn't, raising taxes or anything like that. So we're just moving some from the police salaries. We had extra. It wasn't really extra. We had unexpended funds within the police salary because of some positions that went unfilled. The police positions nowadays, it's very hard to get lateral transfers in. So when you're getting new people in, they're going through the full police academy. You have to go through the full civil service process. So that's why there's some revenue, some available funds there. The town general insurance, we received this year the full general insurance cost on this building here. So you can imagine it's a beautiful building, almost $80 million building. So it's when that hit home, we needed to make this transfer. And obviously being brand new, not depreciated, it's at its highest cost right now. And the rest of them are pretty simple, from accounting salaries to planning. And the information and management technology to expenses. If you remember last night, we funded the key fobs. This is going to actually cover the licensing for this year for them. So thank you.
Is there anything further to be said on Article S1? Lady at the microphone. I wasn't sure if you were
Thank
coming
you.
up to speak or not.
Oh, sorry.
Please
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, Millie Burrows, Precinct 6. I just have a question because in the booklet, there's another line for a health item, 15,000. Was that eliminated, or did something else happen to that? It was going to FICA.
It actually looks like it got left off of the motion on there, so I think it got cut off when it was put there. So
Can I propose an amendment?
I would love that to the motion,
Okay.
and I'll owe you the coffee later for
All right,
catching it.
that's a good
Thank you.
deal. Okay, so I propose that the town also votes to transfer a sum of $15,000 from health to FICA.
Second.
Okay, so it's a motion to amend. Is there a second on the motion to amend?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to amend to add an item for $15,000 from health to FICA. And if you could put that to writing so I can have that for the town clerk.
Madam Moderator, while you're waiting for that, the Select Board voted 5-0-0 to recommend favorable action.
Thank you. And the Finance Committee report recommendation?
Madam Moderator, Finance Committee voted 7-0-0 to recommend the article.
We could do as printed in the Finance Committee handbook. Oh, you're saying. Yeah, now I think.
Is there anything to be said on the amendment, the additional transfer item?
Thank
Seeing-
you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Seeing no one standing, I'll call for a vote on the motion to amend to add the $15,000 transfer from health to FICA. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by saying nay. It passes by a majority voice vote. So this becomes the main motion as amended. Is there anything further to be said on the main motion as amended? Seeing no one standing, I will call for a vote on Article S1. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. The motion passes unanimously. And I believe that, is that? Oh, I'm sorry. Ooh, gee.
S11.
Article S11.
Madam Moderator, I move to approve Article S11 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion made and seconded on Article S11 to approve Article S11 as printed in the warrant. May I have the report and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee voted to recommend 5-0.
And may I have the vote and the recommendation of the Select Board?
The Select Board recommended favorable action 4-0 and 1 abstention.
And
May
I understand.
I
Please.
ask that Mr. Charlie Adams from Penrose be given the courtesy of the floor to do the presentation?
Okay. And there's been a request made to have Charlie Adams from Penrose to give the presentation. He's a non-voter. All those in favor in allowing him to speak, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. Passes by a majority. Mr. Adams.
Thank you very much. My name is, whoops, let me try to do this so I can not have my back to everybody and try to look at the same, at the screen. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Charlie Adams. I am from Penrose. We're the developer for this project, and we're very excited to be here tonight to tell you a little bit about it and hopefully to get your support for what we're trying to accomplish. If I, am I not speaking right?
Make sure if you're talking to have the mic.
Okay, great. If I could get the next slide, please. So give you a little context. I think most people know where this is. This is Littleton Drive. It's a 16-acre parcel just off of Swifts Beach Road. It's a old subdivision, failed subdivision from the 1970s that's been there. This is a property that the town has wanted to redevelop for quite a while. And the town, through the Wareham Redevelopment Authority, issued an RFP for affordable housing for this site. There were a number of folks that bid on the property. We were one of the ones, and we were fortunate to be selected. Very honored to be able to do that. It gives you a little sense of the timeline, how we were selected, and then the process we went through to secure zoning, and ultimately the financing from the state for the program. And the really exciting news is that we actually are under construction now, which is really exciting. We started about 5 weeks ago and are moving forward on construction through next year. Next slide, please. A little sense of what the site plan looks like. The key takeaways that I want to show you here is that we really tried to emphasize open space. 82% of the site remains open. What you see here is what we think is a plan that really benefits the community, really try to get a sense of developing community. What you see around the central green are family units, 10 small buildings, the senior building down to the right, and then the clubhouse in the middle. Next slide, please. Here's a rendering of what the site will look like when it's complete. The senior building is off at the top of the page with the clubhouse in the center, surrounded by the family units around the green. Next slide, please. Just give you, run through these fairly quickly what the images look like. The senior building you see on the left. Typically, we would do a 4-story building, but given that we felt that wasn't appropriate for this location, we did a 3-story building, and that's where the seniors will be. So those will be all senior units in that building. The townhomes on the right are technically available for everyone. So the idea is that they actually could cater to seniors as well as family, and the entrances on the ground are 0 entry, so they can enter. Next slide. The clubhouse is a real feature that I want to highlight. This is in the center of the site. This is where the management office will be, the community space, a community room, and this will actually be available for the community as well as the residents, and we'll get into that a little bit. Next slide. Oh, sorry, can we just go back one real quick? Just wanted to show you that there's a back patio to the back of it. So that's the front on the left and the back patio off the green. Next slide. This is what the inside of our community room at Village of Nauset Green looks like. I wanted to show this because this is what it'll look like here. This is a facility that, as I mentioned before, is available to the community at large, not just the residents. And it's been taken very well advantage in that community. We've had Girl Scout troops, we've had garden clubs, we've had yoga sessions. People have really taken advantage of that. It's been a great community resource that we make available. Next slide, please. Just a little bit to highlight on what, we talked earlier about community, the community benefits. We really see this as a resource, not just for the residents that live there, but the entire Wareham community. And our site plan was really geared towards trying to achieve that goal. So as you can see here, there are a number of things that we're trying to do to encourage that. We've got new sidewalks throughout, we've got a playground, the walking perimeter path, central greens, community garden, fitness club, and fitness center. And ultimately, I understand the town will be putting in a traffic light at Switch Beach Road there. Next slide. I think next slide, or maybe it's not, there we go, oh, sorry, that'll show up. So it'll give you a sense of what we've done in other communities with CPA funds. We've been really successful both in Eastham and Orleans, where we've gotten a significant amount of money. As you can see on on this one, we got $1.7 million, which represented 8% of the costs. Next slide. Cape Cod 5 in Orleans, we got $2.5 million actually, which represented 7% of the costs, and we got it from a whole list of neighboring towns, which was pretty exciting.
Yeah, 30-second warning.
Thank you. And then here we just wanted to show you that the contribution we're looking for is very small. It's $300,000. Next slide. And just give you a sense of the capital stack. This is a $45 million development, and we're only seeking $300,000. The key is really that we're really looking to use that $300,000 to really help do all the community benefits that we have, and we really want to make this accessible and a benefit to the community at large. That's been something we've been planning. We've been planning with the WRA, and it's something that we would really like to do, to be able to use this money to facilitate all those community benefits.
Mr. Adams, if you could sum up.
I'm done.
You're done. Thank you. Is anything further to be said on Article S11? Yes, lady at the microphone, please.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Frost, and I'm a resident of Littleton Drive, and I am opposed to S11. My family moved to Wareham in February of 2021, along with 2 other families. Littleton Drive is comprised of 4 houses and now a large development run by Penrose, which was approved by the town and signed over by the Redevelopment Authority for a 99-year lease. The residents of Littleton Drive have fought for the past 2 years since we learned about the development being approved and shared our multitude of concerns about not only Penrose, but for the poor decision-making of allowing a for-profit company such as them to come in and destroy our quiet, peaceful neighborhood filled with wildlife and families. Back on March 8th, the residents of Littleton Drive were finally able to meet with Rio Sacchetti, who is the property manager for the development, along with REI Construction. During that Zoom meeting, we were told that within 4 days, our lives would be changed forever. Within just 4 days, we were notified that Penrose would be coming to our neighborhood for construction of this project. We had absolutely no time to prepare after begging for 2 years to Penrose to see updated plans regarding the development, expressing our concerns about the traffic, noise, sewage capacity, gas, and water concerns. We were told during that meeting that there would be no financial responsibilities put onto us, the taxpayers, as Penrose and the 40B grant would be taking care of all of these expenses. However, we're being asked to spend $300,000 on this community development when the town has already squashed the plans for a community center, also known as DECAs. Why should the taxpayers be responsible for adding a community center onto a one-way in, one-way out dead center area such as Swifts Beach Road, which is already very congested and cannot handle the strain of any more traffic? Who is going to manage all of the traffic and chaos that an additional center would cause to this area? The town has not increased...
30-second warning.
The town has not increased the amount of police or EMS since the 1980s to handle the increased residential capacity and people that would be attracted to this area. Neither Penrose, the Redevelopment Authority, or Select Board have answered any of the Littleton Drive's residents' questions pertaining to the Penrose development. This lack of transparency and care about the residents who already live in this area would result in me voting no today. I ask that the other residents here also vote no until we know more information.
Thank you. Gentleman behind you.
Jeff Burrows, Precinct 6. Is there anything included in the plans for grinder pumps for the sewage disposal of this development? Thank you.
If there's anyone here that chooses to answer that question, please, Mr. Adams. Just to answer the question.
Yes, there are grinder pumps.
Okay. Gentleman behind, please.
Good evening, everyone. Cliff Sylvia, Precinct 1. I have to be honest with this group. I am not sure how I want to vote in this article. I'm not theoretically opposed to it, but yet I do have some concerns. One of the concerns is the one I always come up and speak to. I just don't like community preservation money going to private enterprise. I've never supported it.
And if you could, I should have said this at the front end, please, no applause, hissing, booing, whatever. You can make your opinions known when we vote, but I say that because I want to have people be able to speak, and we listen to them, and they will listen to you when you speak. Go ahead.
Do I get extra time?
You get extra time.
You
get extra time because I use my little speech to take your time. Go ahead.
So I've never been in favor. Anytime community preservation funds came up for a vote for private entity, I usually voted against it. But I will not vote against it if someone can tell me that this is a really good idea and it's good for the town. Like I said, I'm kind of ambivalent as to where we're going to go with this. I think that at this particular time, we can just look at this at its face value and make a decision here tonight. Again, I don't know how I'm going to vote. The other concern I have is there were two dissenting votes on this Finance Committee. Is there any chance that we could hear from the folks that don't think this is such a good idea on the Finance Committee? Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvia. If the members of the Finance Committee who were opposed wish to speak, you may have the floor. Mr. Camerano.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. The reason I voted against it was what Mr. Sylvia actually brought up. I oppose CPC money being used for a company for profit. Now, everyone can say that it's going to use, for the general people of the town. I don't believe the people from the town will drive to a dead-end road to use any of the facilities. The other thing that I believe is this big corporation is spending $45 million on this project. You mean to tell me they can't find $300,000 worth of fat to cut out of it and leave CPC funds alone? CPC is your money and my money, and I don't think it should be used for profit in any situation at all. Thank you.
Ms. Goggins, were you also opposed to the?
I was not. I was in favor, and I would like to respond.
Well, I think that we have other members. You certainly can speak. We have other people that were actually standing before you were, so I'm going to recognize Mr. Bessie from the Select Board. Yeah. Yeah, yes, sir.
Madam Moderator, you didn't indicate whether or not anyone on the Finance Committee wanted to speak to my request.
They did.
Oh, they did? I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Mr. Camerano did.
My hearing is getting real bad.
No, Mr. Camerano gave his rationale.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, and I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if Mr. Bessie was also opposed and had stood to address your question, Mr. Sylvia, if you were. Yes. Right.
If it's a member of the Finance Committee, because I'm for the project, so you can go to the.
Okay.
Tom Hannon from 62 West Boulevard, and I'm part of the Finance Committee. I just want to say that the original vote was 1-4, 8 against, and there was a revote, and I'm not sure why. I could not make that meeting, but the original vote was 1-4, 8 against, and that's, and I was against it, so. And much like Dominic said, I was against it because I do not believe a for-profit company, and I think Penrose is somewhere around a $100 million company, needs $300,000 of CPC money.
So I'm going to recognize Mr. Bessie and then Mr. Titlebaum and the rest of the citizens that are behind you. Go ahead.
Ronald Bessie, Precinct 1. Before I get into my points of why I support the CPC funds for this project, if my memory serves me correctly, when we talk about for-profit enterprise, at one of our most recent town meetings, we did, in the affirmative, give CPC funds to a for-profit company for, I believe the address was 801 Main Street. So it's not that we've never done it before. I look at this project as a $45 million project, and the funds that they're asking for, I think, are probably similar to the last project that we gave CPC funds to. This project, when it's completed, we talk about space that was, dead space for a while. That was supposed to be something, back in the 70s, never became something. The amount of money that the town is going to get from tax revenue once this project is completed far outweighs some of the tax money that's going to be spent from the CPC funds to make the project better for. I've got 5 children that live in that community. The fact that they're going to open it up to another playground to go to, a community center where we can have local events within the Swifts Beach area is fantastic. There's other projects in this town that didn't want to do that. And that's why I support what Penrose is trying to do. Yeah, I get it. They're a for-profit company. They've got millions of dollars in the bank, whatever it is. But the $300,000 that they're asking for to shore up a couple of loose ends to make everything exactly how we as a community would want it to be is very short money compared to the long-term gain of the, it's a 99-year lease, but in, 99 years is essentially, going to be beyond my time, is almost like a lifetime lease. And the amount of money year over year that the town is going to gain from tax revenue, if I do my numbers correctly, it might be, anywhere between $40,000 and $50,000 a year in tax revenue for this one
30
property.
seconds, Mr. Bessie.
So in closing, I understand where we don't want to just give money to a for-profit corporation, but it's not something that this body hasn't done before. And I ask that as you're sitting and thinking about everybody that's talking for or against it, that you remember just not too long ago that we did affirm and give money to another for-profit organization so that they could complete a project that they did in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. As people, I'm sure a lot of people in here know, I was the chairman of the Redevelopment Authority for 4 years, and I actually worked on the closing, the lease closing, on behalf of the Redevelopment Authority this past month when we executed the lease, and it's been recorded in the Registry of Deeds. It's a 99-year lease. Some things people might not know that are in the lease. They are required to be the management company for 15 years. If you look around this town and you want to see where the 40Bs that we're not so fond of went astray, it's because they don't have consistent management. They get companies in there, they hire somebody else, they build it, they run it for 2 years, then they boogie off to the next project. They hire a Joe Blow management company from Maryland, and things go to hell. These guys committed to staying in there for 15 years. The second thing, Charlie alluded to their projects down in Eastham. When we were negotiating with them, we called up the police chief and the town administrator down in Eastham and asked, have there been any issues since they opened? And they said, absolutely none. They're cooperative, they don't tolerate bad tenants, and they've been great partners with us. So with that in mind, we went forward with selecting them as the developer. Initially, they came to town meeting in 2021 in the summer. They wanted $800,000. That was a pretty big ticket number. They got turned down. They've adjusted their sites downward for $300,000 for something that will provide a community development. This was a friendly 40B project.
30-second warning,
in the sense
sir.
that they worked with town officials.
30-second warning.
Thank you. And so it's, some of these are not like the others. I think we have to take a look at 40B and say there's good projects, there's bad projects. This is a good project. What they're asking for is money that to improve something that, frankly, some of us sitting in this room are going to enjoy in 15, 20 years, maybe some a little sooner. So I would suggest that you vote favorably for this. It's good money, well spent, doesn't go into the developer's pocket for a good project. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Gentleman behind you.
Jody Smith, Precinct 6, member of the Finance Committee. I was there for both votes. The first vote was 1-8. The second vote, I actually made the motion for reconsideration, and the vote came out 5-2. Unfortunately, there were questions I wanted answered. Well, I thought of them after the fact. It was kind of late. The two questions I have, and I understand this is under the Redevelopment Authority to lease this land. How much is the lease payment, and where exactly is that money going?
Is there anyone here that's able to answer that question?
You can. I can, and Mr. Buckland can. May I ask Mr. Buckland to answer
Yes,
the question?
Mr. Buckland, to answer the question only.
The lease payment is $5,000 a year, and it goes into the WRA account.
Thank you, Mr. Buckland. Did you have anything further to say, Mr. Smith?
I couldn't hear him from where I was standing. How much was it a year?
5,000.
And that goes to the Redevelopment Authority, correct?
I believe he said it goes to the WR account, correct?
Thank you.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Brenda Ekstrom, Precinct 2. I'd like to know if they've already gotten permission for the traffic light. That's Route 6. That's not the town putting it up. That would be the state, because it's a state road.
Are you able to answer the question, Mr. Slavin? Just answer the question.
Thank you. As chair of the Serpent Commission for Southeast Mass, which covers 27 communities in Southeast Mass, it is on the TIP program. I've made the arrangements for the Swiss Beach Road intersection and the crosswalk to be done in the next 12 months. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you put in a request for it to be done?
It's already there.
It's on the list, only because I know how long it took for Route 28 and 6, Cranberry Highway to be done. I was the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and that was there in the 6 years before that. They were waiting too. So that's been over 20 years.
Well, unfortunately for most people, I don't give in very easily.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, secondly, a previous speaker said that we would get almost $40,000 to $50,000 in tax revenue. I just want people to know that 40 of these, I think it said 42 units, are family, or family friendly or whatever. Even if that's 40 or 50 children that go to our schools at $10,000, $15,000 a student, that $40,000 isn't going to cover anything. And as another previous speaker said, they came in front of us, I see.
30-second warning, Mrs.
Thank
Ekstrom.
you. It's always a warning to me. A previous speaker also said that it was, that they came here 2 years ago asking for money, and they did. It was at the Deacon's School, and we voted it down then. Their revenues last year were $115 million. I think they can afford $300,000, a heck of a lot more than we can.
Yes, gentleman behind you at the microphone.
Nat Hurd, Little Harbor. I don't know precinct, sorry. Question I have is, do we have the ability through our sewer system to handle this? We're pretty close to a capacity at this time.
Is there anyone here that can answer Mr. Hurd's question?
Sandy Slavin, Sewer Commissioner. Yes, this was approved before the moratorium.
Thank you, Mrs. Slavin.
I'm sorry, that doesn't answer my question. Can it handle it? Approved is another thing.
Yes, that means the capacity that they factored in. When they did the moratorium, they used that as the capacity, saying, we've already allocated this. So the answer is yes.
Okay. And the other question the lady before me asked about was about the schools per student and that type of thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, gentleman behind you.
Hi, my name is Peter Call, and I live in Crane Landing in here in Wareham. I don't know if everybody knows that Swift's Beach is actually a public beach, but there is zero parking at Swift's Beach. What's this going to do to, is there a parking lot that's going to be open to the general public? It doesn't look it in this drawing. So all you're going to do is add more traffic to an area that's already has a problem. My in-laws own a property on Swift's Beach area. Thank you.
Thank
Sir,
you.
and I'm sorry, it's not on Swiss Beach at the
No,
beach.
I understand.
Okay.
I can throw a rock probably from their deck if I had a good baseball arm to hit that property.
Thank you.
And there is an osprey nest probably within 300 feet of that property.
Yes, lady at the microphone.
Annie Hayes, 52 Farmers Lane, Precinct 5. I can't tell from the diagram how many cars per unit, but typically if there are 2 adults, there are 2 cars. And so times 93 units, that's like 200 more cars. So I can relate to the first speaker who's concerned about traffic going onto an already difficult Swift's Beach Road. Secondly, I agree about CPC funds. I think that we have to use that money as much as possible to protect open space, to protect our aquifer. Our aquifer is not just sitting there and is going to be our sole source forever with the best clean water. It's getting hit by a number of factors: drought, strip mining, deforestation, all the communities working on the same principle that if you pollute one area, it can migrate right down to our sole source. And thirdly, when I look at a diagram like this and I see no solar panels with a huge corporation that certainly understands climate increase, heating increase is a huge issue. This is what we want. If we're going to have a development, we want it to be sustainable. And I would like the developer...
30 seconds.
Thank you. I would like the developer to respond to that, please.
If you wish to respond, just to respond to that point, it's not really a question, but I'll let you go.
So thank you for the question. The overall, tell me if I'm going to give some background to it, so let me know. The overall project, as people know, over the last 2 years, the costs of construction have increased about 28%. On this particular project, we were at 40 million 2 years ago. Now we're at 45. We've done everything we can to maintain what we're trying to accomplish for the vision for the town that the town really wanted. And so we've tried to hold the line to keep this as much as we can. Our developments on our design standards are built to a minimum level of LEED silver, so everything is highly energy efficient. We'll put solar panels where we can on certain developments. What we often do is we'll do a minimum level of solar where we can. I believe there are solar panels on the community building. I'm not sure that they're shown, but I believe they're there. We'll try to add those panels where we can once we get out of the ground and our contingency has not been used up. And if we have additional money, those are the types of things we do. That's exactly kind of the reason why we're here today, to ask for some of those additional funds so that we can continue to do all the things that we really want to do for this site and not have to continue to value engineer things out to try to give the community exactly what they needed. And the solar panels falls kind of directly into that category of the things that we're trying to do, trying to hold on to. But it's been incredibly difficult with the cost increase over the last 2 years, with interest rates nearly doubling or tripling. It's been incredibly stressful, and our team has done a really good job of trying to figure out how to do that. So thank you.
So I saw the chairperson. Did you still want to speak?
Yes, ma'am, but they were standing before I was, so may I go after Ms. Redmond?
Okay. So the lady at the microphone, Mrs. Slavin.
Yes, thank you. Sandy Slavin, Precinct 3. I am a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, and we fully support this project to accommodate affordable housing for our seniors. It is critical in this town to allow them a clean, safe place to live, and this project provides that. Now I'm going to step back and come back as a member of Community Preservation. It is $300,000. It is not a lot of money. This project's all approved, ready to go. There's just some supplemental funds needed to fill in some of the construction gaps that were mentioned. It is for affordable housing, that's what it's for, and it wouldn't take long for CPA funds to be replenished when everybody here pays their component of that 3% tax on a CPA. So that would be easily returned to our fund, which right now has about $4 million in it. So we are substantially funded with CPA projects. We just need projects to come before us to fund. And was that the third one? Well, it's going to pay for it, it's going to get funds. CPA approved it, Affordable Housing approved it, and the project's already been planned and being built. So thank you. Please vote for the $300,000 CPA funds.
Thank you. Lady behind you.
Still vertically challenged. I just have a couple of questions. When I see that this is supposed to be affordable housing, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Denise Wolk. I used to live in Swiss Beach. I live in Pinehurst now. So when I read affordable housing, are these units going to be for rent or are they going to be sold? I'll just crouch my questions and then walk away. The other thing is, if they are for rent, when we talk about affordable, by what standard? You know, there are a lot of people who have restricted income, and I know senior citizens in particular, but also families. My other question, just being a pet lover, is will pets be allowed? Thank you.
So, Mr. Adams, I'll allow you the floor just to answer those specific questions.
Okay, and you might have to remind me what some of them were. I'll work backwards. The pet one, yes, pets. We strongly believe that people should have pets. Make a lot of sense. People will be allowed pets. There'll probably be size limits, but everyone will be allowed to have pets. The affordability question. So when you do all the different programs, I mean, obviously this project gets a tremendous amount of public money to do this, right? I think that last chart you showed you know, how much public money has to be done because the costs don't pay for themselves because it's affordable housing. So there's a tremendous amount of public money already in the project. That comes with lots of rules and restrictions and requirements. Those requirements include that we have units at different levels of what we call area median income. So there are some units at 30% of area median income, some at 50, some at 60. The senior development is 100% of the units are from 60% of AMI or below, so we call all those affordable tax credit units. Within the family units, there are a few, I believe 10 units, if I'm not mistaken, that we call actually workforce money, workforce housing, which goes up to 80 or 100% of area median income. Was there another question? I think there was another one. Renting. Sorry, that's the easiest one. It's all rental housing. It's all multifamily rental housing.
Thank you. Lady at the, so the order will be Jamie, you go, and then Judith Whiteside, and then Mr. Sylvia. You've already spoken once, so, well, all right. We're going to let the other people who have not spoken go.
Jamie Redpan Buckminster, Precinct 1. I'll make it quick. I just wanted to rise in support of this. As we all know, we're in a bit of a housing crisis here across the state and across the country. And this project I appreciate because it is truly multi-generational. It's got family housing, it's got senior housing, and there's even a focus on workforce housing. It's everything that we would need in a nice little package. Again, is it perfect? Nothing is. But I appreciate that they're coming here and they're asking for $300,000, and I just want to point out, as a former member of the CPC, we have dollars in all of the categories that CPC can fund, allocated, earmarked in those certain categories. So this is for affordable housing. That's where the money's coming from. As a previous speaker said, thank you, Mrs. Slavin, that it will be actually, you know, a drop in the bucket, so to speak, because it will be replenished by the the taxes coming into it. I just think that we're really lucky that we have the CPA to fall back on and that we can support this project in such a way without causing another burden to the taxpayers. We've got a lot of things that we need to pay for, and this is a way that we can help out this project that honestly I think is a nice little package. So thank you. I hope you'll vote for this. I don't think it's all that bad, and I'm not sure if there's any public entity that we can sink this money into.
30 seconds.
And I'm not sure there's a public entity who's willing to start building. So we have to deal with a private developer, but I appreciate what they're doing. Thank you.
Okay. So, Madam Chairperson, if you still wish to speak, you have the floor.
Yes, please. Thank you. I just want to bring a couple of facts forward. Of the 93 units, 44 of them are for seniors, and 25 of them are only 2 bedrooms, and 6 of them are 3 bedrooms, and 18 of them are 1 bedroom, okay? I would also like to point out that from the time that Penrose started this development, the costs have increased more than $5 million. We all know what happened in the past couple of years. The town actually was looking for developers of this property. We put out a request for proposals, and there were different entities that responded, and this company was chosen by the town. CPC was created specifically to support affordable housing and recreation and open space. This project is obviously affordable housing. The other towns that use CPC projects to fund entities like Penrose never, ever, ever talk about private versus public entities using the funds. And furthermore, affordable housing projects of this scale cannot be built by public entities. Any affordable housing development requires a for-profit structure to utilize the tax credits that are available.
30 seconds.
Thank you. So any affordable housing and unit or project must be a for-profit company. I urge that you listen to the benefits of this proposal, which is to create community space, community rooms, and community walking trails, and a playground. Thank you.
Good timing. Mr. Bessie, did you have a point of order?
Just clarification on a comment from a previous speaker.
No, I'm not going to. You've already had your time on that, so I'm going to recognize the other people that have risen that have not spoken. Yes, Mr. Sylvia.
Cliff Sylvia, Precinct 1, and I know that I've spoken before, but I need a couple of points of clarification through you, Madam Moderator. Is that in order?
Make it very, very brief.
Very brief.
Because you have spoken before.
I have. My confusion is this. Hasn't this project already been approved? Then all of this discussion on the merits of the project is moot. It doesn't matter. The only thing that we should be discussing right now is whether or not we're going to use $300,000 of community preservation money. That should be the debate right now. The project, I hear all these things about, you know, the project will do this, and the project will do that, and the project can do this, and the project can do that. The project's been approved. So the only conversation that we should be having here today is about whether or not we're going to use $300,000 of community preservation money to fund part of this project. Am I wrong in assuming that?
You're making a rhetorical point, so thank you.
But I need clarification from you. Am I in error in my thinking?
Is there anyone that can answer that question? Go.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. That's correct. All the discussion about the merits of the project, about whether it's a good thing or not, whether there will be a lot of kids coming into the schools, is not pertinent here because the project is going to happen no matter what. The only question is, do we spend the designated CPC funds as CPC has recommended and is available and as is part of our policy out of the planning office for our housing production plans for this town.
No, I understand that.
And I say it is exactly how we should spend the money.
So just another point of clarification.
I think you, Mr. Sylvia, there's a lady behind you who
Oh, I
has
know,
not
but
spoken. No, who has not spoken. So
This'll
I'm going
take
to.
10 seconds, Madam.
10 seconds, and then
10
that's
seconds.
it. 10.
I was ambivalent about supporting it. I will support it now because of the community assets that will be part of this.
Thank you. The lady behind you.
Missy Dekas, Precinct 5. I have a couple of concerns that we're spending CPC money on a project that, according to your warrant, will just reserve 70% for Wareham residents for the first year. So after the first year, it's opened up to anyone from any town. It appears that we have a bit of a housing crisis here in town. Taxpayers pay the CPC money in their taxes, but only for 1 year, 70% of the units will be reserved for Wareham residents.
Is that a question that you're asking or a point that you're making?
I guess it's a point. I guess I could form it in a question if you could clarify that.
Just to answer the question.
So because we get all these resources from the state, there are fair housing rules. And so it'd be against the law to prohibit other folks from being in the town. The good news is that the state will allow up to a 70% preference if the developer goes and makes the case. And we went and made the case, and we got the highest available percentage for the town that we possibly could. And that's what we tried to accomplish, and that's what we got.
Thank you. Mr. Slavin.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to make a simple point, everybody. We deal with basically the 40B projects where we as a town have very little control. They bypass through the state almost all the regulations that any normal developer would go through. And the bottom line here is that there is nothing in any of the state rules, Mass General Law or anything, that talks about private or public as far as these funds being used. People bringing this particular subject up, unfortunately, has no basis legally whatsoever. To use that as a reason is completely wrong. CPA funds are basically 3% over a set dollar value of people's homes. The town of Wareham voted the max at 3%. The money is used in 5 different areas, actually. Housing is one of the major areas for it. If you look at your current governor who just came in place, #1 priority is housing in Massachusetts. If you think this is easy, wait for the next couple of years when they'll force even more housing on us with even less controls. This particular project, as it's laid out, is probably one of the most friendly 40Bs I've ever seen. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else standing, I do not. I'm going to call for a vote on Article S11. Article S11, the motion is I move to approve Article number S11 as printed in the warrant. All those in favor of the motion under Article S11, please signify by stating aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by stating nay. Nay. The chair is in doubt. I'm going to call for a hand count. All those in favor of the motion on Article S11 to approve Article S11 as printed in the warrant, please signify by raising your voting cards. Section 1. Section 2. 16. Section 3. 27. And Section 4. 19. All those opposed to the motion under Article S11, please signify by raising your voting cards. Nine, 16, 27, 19. Section 1. Section 2. Section 3. Section 4. 71 to 40. So the ayes have it, 71 to 40, the motion is passed. And I believe at this point that we have concluded the special meeting warrant. So I'll just declare, since we've done that, we're going to dissolve the special town meeting, and we'll move back to the annual town meeting warrant.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to dissolve the special Springtown meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? What? I think I should dissolve it. All in favor, please state by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Article 19 in the annual warrant.
Madam Moderator, I don't know if you want to go to the consent agenda first.
Oh, I apologize for that. Yes, so under the annual town meeting, we also have a consent agenda items. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 1, election of officers, Article 2, recurring business, Article 4, FY24 revolving funds, Article 11, community preservation fund reserves, as printed in the warrant, and to pass over Article 5, occasional reports, pass over Article 6, FY24 capital plan, pass over Article 14, Depot Auto LLC on-set train station, and pass over petition to Article 15, Tremont Nail Factory office building.
It's motion made and seconded on the consent agenda. Is there a second on the consent agenda? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the articles that are on the consent agenda. Unless anyone objects, we're going to vote these all as a package without any further discussion. To approve Article number 1, the election of officers. To approve Article number 2, recurring business. To approve Article number 4, FY24 revolving funds. To approve Article number 11, community preservation fund reserves as printed in the warrant. And further, to pass over Article number 5, occasional reports. To pass over Article number 6, FY24 capital plan. To pass over Article number 14, Depot Auto LLC onset train station. And to pass over petition Article number 15, Tremont Nail Factory office building. Is there any objection to those being taken up on the consent agenda? Seeing no one objecting, we'll go to vote on the consent agenda. All those in favor of this motion under the consent agenda, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes unanimously. Article 19. Is there a motion on Article 19?
Yes, Madam Moderator. Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $35,711 from certified free cash to the school transportation revolving account.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded on Article 19. May I have the vote and the recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommended 9-0-0.
May I have the vote and recommendation of the Select Board?
The Select Board recommended favorable action, 4-0 and 1 abstention.
Is anything further to be said on Article 19?
Thank you. It's become just a routine article. It's the homeless student transportation reimbursement that we receive, and usually you receive it at the end of the year, so that's why you wait for the next year to take it out of free cash.
Thank you. Is anyone else that wishes to be heard on Article 19? Seeing no one standing, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion under Article 19, please signify by stating aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes by a majority voice vote. Article 3. So with regard to Article 3, I'll ask Deputy Moderator, Mr. Ashley, to step up.
All right, so this is just a housekeeping article setting the salaries of the town moderator, and I believe, yeah, just the town moderator on this one. So, do we have a motion on Article number 3?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 108, to set the compensation of certain elected officials as follows. Town Moderator, $125 per diem.
Second.
Tonight.
Is there anyone to speak to the article? Seeing no one standing, there's one person standing back there. Speaker at the microphone.
Hi, Deanna Semple, Precinct 5. Just in our warrant, it says $120 per diem.
Yes, ma'am, the motion is for $125. The warrant was posted with $125. The amount was changed after it was written.
Okay.
Thank you.
So usually if there's a discrepancy between what's in the warrant, what we're voting on is on the screen. Anything else to be said on Article 3? Seeing no one standing, I will now take a vote on Article 3. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The motion carries by unanimous voice vote.
Article 22. Is there a motion on Article 22?
Dominic?
Article 22, the Parker Mills Dam. I'd like to make a motion to approve as written in the warrant.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded on Article 22. May I have the vote and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Madam Moderator, the Finance Committee voted 9-0-0 to refer to town meeting.
And may I have the vote and recommendation of the Select Board?
Select Board voted 1, 0, and 4 abstentions.
And before I recognize Mr. Cosgrove, who I understand is a petitioner, clearly the language of this article and my ruling would be that this is a resolution. But I'll allow you as a petitioner 5 minutes to speak to your article.
Thank you. If you could put the slideshow up, I'd be very grateful. Thank you very much. Barry Cosgrove, Precinct 5. On behalf of a number of Wareham citizens, we respectfully request your vote of yes on Article 22. Here is the language. The bottom line is this. The whole purpose of this petition is to support our Select Board in removing a dangerous dam and making sure that all owners of the dam, including any and all private owners who benefited from the dam for decades, pay their fair share of the costs of removal. Slide, please. The Parker Mills Dam is a very old dam. It's a high hazard dam, slide please, because it means that if it were to fail, it's likely to cause loss of life or serious damage. Not maybe, not perhaps, likely. And for decades, our town has footed the bill to have this dam inspected, and it's been repeatedly found to be in very poor condition. Next slide, please. If you're unfamiliar with the location, the dam is underneath Elm Street, over by the nail factory, where we have $4 million invested and haven't gotten a nickel back and are never going to until we solve this damn problem. Also downstream are private residences and, very importantly, a daycare center with infants advertised for months old. If this dam were to fail, even with a 100-year storm, and I know that sounds, oh, how can that be? 100-year storm. Last year, 2022, in the United States, in the course of 5 days, in 5 different states, there were 1,000-year storms. It happens, folks. And the water would move at 5.7 feet per second, which means the nail factory, our $4 million, is underwater in second. And the outside play area for the daycare center is only about 150 feet away. So they'd have a whopping 30 seconds. Slide, please. Removing the dam is very costly, but to the credit of the select board, they've made the right decision to do so. Slide, please. But here's the problem. The Dam Safety Board in Massachusetts, which issues permits associated with the dam, has basically said, look, we've had it with this ownership dispute. We're not going to give any permits until the owners step up and admit their ownership or not. Slide, please. For decades, the AD Makepeace Company has been repeatedly identified as the majority owner of the dam. Slide, please. Go back to 1981 when the Army Corps of Engineers said so. Slide, please. Fast forward to 2015 when the town wisely hired an independent title examiner. They concluded that Makepeace owns slightly less than 3/4 of the dam. 2027, the state hires an independent title examiner. Same result. Slide, please. Go to 2022. Legal opinion from the State Dam Safety Board. Slide, please. If that's not enough, we went and looked at the tax records, looked at title exams, found the deeds, checked the assessor's records, and the taxes have been paid by Makepeace. Who pays taxes on property for decades if you don't own it? Slide, please. So remember, it's been used to make money. The dam trapped water, which was used for free, on their bogs. If anyone tried to take it away at that time, do you suppose they'd say, oh, we don't own it? Slide, please. Slide, please. So look, I know that they're working on it, but we've been working on it since LBJ. We need results. Slide, please. And the worst thing we could do, the dopiest thing we could do, would be to buy those lots or even accept them in some sort of crazy grant, because we're not buying land, we're buying a liability. Right now, we own about 35% of that problem.
30
we don't
seconds,
want 100.
Attorney
Thank you.
Cosgrove.
Slide, please. No thank you to that notion. Slide, please. Force the issue. Slide. No freeloading allowed. If Makepeace can prove they don't own it, all the power to them. They can prove everybody in the world is wrong, let them do it. But in the meantime, please vote yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on this article? Yes.
Julie Moran, 79 Greengate Lane, Precinct 3. And I have a question really for our town council. I'm a real estate attorney, and it appears there was a case in land court, there was a series of title exams. Is Makepeace's position, do they have an opposing title exam that has convinced us they actually are not the owners of the dam? Could you just, in a minute, give me a bit of a summary? I'm trying on, relative to the Finance Committee, trying to understand this.
So
the
if,
title, let's call it a title dispute, shall we? Thank you.
So, Town Council, if you wish to address that issue, I don't know if you had actually looked at that at this point, so.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Oh, I've looked at it. We have a title report that allocates ownership between the parties. The title report indicates that ADM is the majority owner of the dam. I have not seen a title report from ADM. They have a legal theory under which they proceed. I don't agree with it. I don't think this is the place to debate their legal theory, but they have a theory and it's not one that I accept.
Mr. Slavin.
Good evening again. This particular question, as far as the dam ownership, for me goes back to 2008, trying to get an answer when I was on the Capital Planning Committee, and we had a $1.5 million potential cost to fix the dam. We've never been able to get a straight answer, so I won't disagree with Barry about what's going on there. The Board of Selectmen has made a commitment for a Plan A and a Plan B. One is to fully remove the Parker Mill Dam, and the second one is if we can't get enough grants and money from the federal government, which is NOAA, from the state and remediation, we will take a less aggressive approach and only replace part of the dam to lower it. We can basically lower that dam to a certain point where there is no risk whatsoever anytime we want. There is a question on ownership. The ownership question is probably going to have to be settled in court, most likely. But the bottom line is the Board of Selectmen has already made the commitment to go ahead and do this. We're working with Beth Lambert at the state to go ahead and remove this dam. It's either going to be basically option A or option B. So I understand what Barry wants to do, but this board has made a full commitment to go ahead and do this. Thank you.
Mr. Teitelbaum.
Yeah, I'm going to read from a document that was filed in Plymouth Superior Court back in 2018. And in the to the extent that this article asks the selectmen to try to ascertain what percentage they think the 80 Makepeace Company owns versus the town, the answer is right in the introduction. And the introduction, written by town council, sitting right up there, this is an action for declaratory judgment and other relief in connection with the ownership and maintenance of the Tremont Dam located in Wareham, Mass. It's actually the Parker Mills Dam, but a lot of people call it the Tremont Dam. There wouldn't be any dispute as to whether it was the correct dam. The plaintiff, Town of Wareham, asserts that 80 Makepeace Company owns almost 75% of the dam, refuses to acknowledge its ownership stake, and refuses to repair the dam. Now, going back in time 4 years from that, the reason we ended up suing Makepeace at that time was because after we got a grant from the state that was mostly a loan, I decided to get nosy. And I poked around in the Registry of Deeds, and I found a document dating back to 1932. It was a deed from one Evelyn Bodfish to the 80 Makepeace Company, and it seemed to cover this area. I poked around a little more, and I found an act of the legislature that gave 80 Makepeace the riparian, which is the water rights, behind the dam. I went to town council with this, and he came to the Board of Selectmen and said we should hire one of the preeminent title examiners in the Commonwealth to take a look at this. The 74% figure comes from that gentleman after his research.
30 seconds.
So we already know what we think they own. The issue here is that we did sue them. We agreed to withdraw the lawsuit while retaining all rights going forward against them if things didn't work out, so that we could apply a state grant to this, figure out what the best solution was, and then go back to the state and see what they want to do. They want to remove this thing. They want to create the fishery there. They want to restore all that.
Please sum up. Your time is up.
Yes.
Sum up.
So the issue is being brought forward so that eventually that dam will be removed. It'll probably take a special act to resolve it, to get past the ownership issues and the dams, but it's going to come out. But forcing this back into court isn't going to make a darn bit of difference. That would actually delay it for a long time while you litigated it. So I would say vote this down. It's unnecessary.
Yes, gentleman at the microphone.
Hi, my name is Peter Colligan, and I still live on Crane Landing.
That's good.
I have a couple of questions and answers and just remarks. I've only lived in town about 16, 17 years. One question is, who was first? Tremont Nail at where it is now, or Makepeace? Who started a corporation there first? I know Tremont Nail was at a previous location in either Carver or Wareham, but I'd like to know what the date is when they moved in, as well as Makepeace. Because prior to that, I assume the Beavers and the American Indian probably had a dam there. There's also, I went down there the other day just to check, just because it had been a long time since I'd been down there. There are actually 2 sluices, or 2 waterways coming from that small little pond area which comes out of the big pond. One has like a fish ladder on it, and the other one looks like it might have perhaps at some point, part of it been directed into the nail factory. That's my educated guess. Only because of who I used to work for, I know that a company called Acorn Manufacturing actually bought Tremont Nail. And then I understand that the town purchased Tremont Nail.
30 seconds.
Once you've purchased it, I assume then the town is liable for roughly 25% based on the figures that were given. And my own thought is, if you break it up, why not put a little turbine power plant there? So we can you can get some money back from energy that you can produce, because it moves enough water to put a little generator there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sylvia.
Cliff Sylvia, Precinct 1. I apologize to the voters here this evening because I'm not normally here in April. I'm normally in Florida, but we had a hurricane down in Florida, and unfortunately I will not be able to get into my unit until probably January of next year. Because of the hurricane and the water damage, all of our electrical systems in our complex were destroyed. So that brings me back to the dam. It's entirely possible that we could have a catastrophic situation if that dam isn't either removed or repaired. The second thing I want to talk about is it created one of the worst intersections in this town. That intersection is absolutely horrible to get through. And I think before somebody gets killed at that intersection, that we really should do something about fixing this dam issue and about the time that it's going to take to go into legal action. My goodness gracious, so much time has passed since this issue came up that I can't even remember that far back, and I know I'm 80 years old. So for those 2 reasons, I think that we should at least take a look at this. And like you said, Madam Moderator, it really isn't binding. This is a citizen's petition, and the Board of Selectmen still can do what they want to do. So I don't think there's any harm in supporting this.
30 seconds.
I honestly think that looking down the road, maybe some good can come from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Ekstrom.
Brenda Ekstrom, Precinct 2. I would please encourage everyone to support this article. I know a previous speaker said that it wasn't necessary, but because it is a resolution or non-binding, I think it kind of gives a proverbial stick to the Board of Selectmen when they go forward somewhere, whether it's to the state, whether it's to court, whatever they decide is best, to use that saying, hey, our town is 100% behind us with this. And just for people to know, as another previous speaker said that he's been involved with this since he was on capital planning. When I was on the Board of Selectmen, we were involved in this, and AD Makepeace has the keys to the locks, so we can't let the water out. We found that out when we were trying to release some of the pressure, and I guess probably since then, my understanding is that they've taken 1 or 2 of the rungs down, but they have the keys. The town doesn't even have the keys, so please support this. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Howard Smith, Precinct 4. Being a history buff, I've done quite a bit of research, as some of you well know. And to me, what I seem to remember was most of that stuff started back in 1690 when Isaac Bump built what we know of as the Fearing Tavern today. And then he later built a mill on this stream. But more importantly, today, back when they closed Elm Street, I was under the impression, in fact, more than impression, I saw the letter from the state to the town or fire department that basically they were closing that street only because the bridge was unsafe for vehicles to go over. So how did this problem shift from just a bridge to a dam? You know, and I mean, basically, I don't personally see how removing the dam is going to eliminate any of the problem. I had a discussion with somebody, actually one of the select board members years ago, and he was talking about a surge of water. If you go back to one of the slides that was showing up there, there may be a surge of water, but it's only going to be that very small section between Cranberry Highway and the Tremont Dam. Parker Mills, yeah. I'm from Tremont, so I'm prejudiced, okay? But it is Parker Mills. You're only going to have a surge from that very small area. And then from then on, it has to come under that bridge from Cranberry Highway.
30 seconds.
So, you know, like I said, I just can't see how removing the dam is going to solve the problem. Maybe fix the bridge, build the dam up a little bit, and we'd be a lot better off.
Thank you. The gentleman behind you.
Jim Manise, Precinct 4. I stand in favor of this in order to be able to move forward to removing the spillway and to drop it down to its original level. And I know as a select person for 3 years, we did put this into stay and took it out of court action, and we did not move. There was no forward progress made during that period. In the last year, I do not know what has occurred, or if there's been any agreements between the company who allegedly owns the majority of the dam in the town. If so, let us know, and that would be great. If not, we need to move this forward and stop kicking the can down the road. Thank you.
Is there anything further to be said on Article 22? Seeing no one standing, I'm going to call for vote on Article 20, the motion on Article 22. I move that the town approve Article number 22 as printed in the warrant. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes by a majority voice vote. Article 17.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town approve Article 17 as printed in the warrant.
Second. Excuse me, second.
There's been a motion made and seconded on Article 17. This is a zoning bylaw amendment or proposed zoning bylaw amendment. So if I could call for the report of the planning board, which I see Mr. Buckland rising to give the report of the planning board.
That's correct. Ken Buckland, Director of Planning and Community Development. State law, Chapter 48, Section 5, requires that the planning board make a report to town meeting on every zoning bylaw that comes before the town meeting. The planning board held a public hearing on March 27th, 2023 to hear this on this article. And they voted 6-0-0 to recommend the article to town meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Buckland. Before we proceed, may I have the report and the recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Madam Moderator, the Finance Committee voted to approve 9-0-0.
And may I have the vote and recommendation of the Select Board?
Yes, the Select Board voted 5-0-0 to recommend favorable action.
Is there anything further to be said on the motion on Article 17? Did you have something further that you wanted to add to your report, Mr. Buckland?
Just to explain it, that this is an article that was generated by the Board of Appeals when they were looking at motor vehicle service centers and seeing that the parking requirements that are based on 2 parking spaces per bay was not sufficient enough to handle the parking that actually is used or that's demanded by motor vehicle service bays, especially when you have one that's used for inspections. And so they recommended, based on their knowledge and experience with these land uses, that the parking be increased to 5 spaces per bay. And that is what this article proposes at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Buckland. Is there anything further to be said on Article 17? Seeing no one standing, I will call for a vote on Article 17. Because this is a proposed zoning bylaw amendment, it calls for 2/3 vote. So I will try a voice vote first. All those in favor of the motion under Article 17, that the town approve Article number 17 as printed in the warrant, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. Passes unanimously. Article 8. Is there a motion on Article 8?
Yes, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to approve the amount of $1,531,610 to the Emergency Medical Services Salary and Wages account, also $307,350 to the EMS General Expense account, and further to authorize a sum of money and estimated receipts of the Emergency Medical Services account to be used to offset said appropriation in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E.
Second.
It's been a motion made and seconded on Article 8. May I have the report and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Madam Moderator, the Finance Committee voted to approve 900.
May I have the report and recommendation of the Select Board?
The Select Board voted, recommended favorable action, 4-0 and 1 abstention.
Is there anything further to be said on Article 8?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just so you know, we vote this separately. It's what's called an offset receipt, so it funds itself with the monies that it generates. This is obviously our ambulance service. This is through the town. A total of 17 personnel, not including part-timers or sort of per diem. We are lucky to have the folks that serve us through that department. They do an excellent job. One of the things coming across this year, we determined when going through the billing, because if you remember a few years ago, it was a little short there. Approximately 93% of the runs are for people with Medicaid or Medicare. So only about 7% are private insurance. So when you ask sometimes why there isn't huge amounts of money, or when you see the write-downs, obviously Medicare and Medicaid only pays a certain portion, even private, but sometimes that's made up more. So I just think that's an important thing and indicative of some of the things we have going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 8? Seeing no one standing, I will call for a vote on Article 8. All those in favor of the motion as appears on the screen, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes unanimously. Article 13.
Madam Moderator, Article 13, Sawyer Conservation Area. Before I advance the motion, I did want to point out that in the materials, the Finance Committee report that was provided to our audience tonight, our citizens, that there is on page 81, which is the Sawyer Conservation Community Preservation Act grant budget sheet, there is an erroneous marginal reference to the Woodland Cove Phase 2, but in fact that is for the Sawyer Conservation Area. So I will now move forward with the motion. Article 13, Sawyer Conservation Area. I move that the town approve Article number 13 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
It's been a motion made and seconded on Article 13. Is there anything further to be said?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Kathy Papalardo, Precinct 5. I'm also president of the Wareham Land Trust. There should be a slide to come up.
I think it's on its way up.
There it is, Article 13. No. Yes. This was a handout that we had at the front entrance, which hopefully all of you had picked up. That's good. Can you scroll it up a little bit more so we get the bullets on the right-hand side to show? There's one more coming. Okay, that's good, thank you. So I rise to ask your support for Article 13, which is the purchase of the Sawyer Conservation Area. This would be purchased for open space and recreation, which fulfills two of the categories of which Community Preservation Act funds can be used for. The parcel is located in East Wareham. You can see on the diagram on the left-hand side orientation, that's Route 25 off on the left. All of that green area is conservation, open space, onset water district. The Trustees of Reservation owns part of that land, which has existing trails. The upper portion had not been accessed because you can't get there from here, as they say, because there weren't trails and you would have been trespassing. So this area has coastal pine barrens habitat. It will further protect Red Brook, which is the blue line going aloft on the right-hand side of the diagram. It will support riverfront corridors for fish and wildlife species. The area has high conservation value as it contains wetlands. It contains biomap core habitat, critical natural landscape areas, and is within a DEP-approved Zone 2 wellhead protection area. It falls entirely within the area of the Plymouth Carver Sole Source Aquifer, and it is entirely within Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program for estimated and priority habitats. The Onset Water District, Onset Fire District Prudential Committee, the Onset Bay Association, Wareham Department of Natural Resources, Wareham Conservation Commission, Buzzards Bay Coalition, and the trustees have all sent letters and/or voted their support for this project. Working with the Onset Water Department and the trustees, a new extensive system of trails called the Red Brook Trail Network is currently in development. As you can see on the slide, all those little red dashes will be new trails, which will be about 3.4 miles of new trails. We are also going through the process of applying for grants to come up with assorted signage, kiosks to go throughout the property so we don't have people getting lost out there. There will be parking at the Lyman Reserve, so off-street parking, kiosks, and directions to get in and go for a walk as long as you want or as short as you want. Also, as part of the Community Preservation Act's requirement, a conservation restriction will be placed on this property to ensure it remains conservation land permanently. I ask you to please vote yes on Article 13. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 13? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Nancy McHale, Precinct 5. I'm, full disclosure, treasurer of the Wareham Land Trust, and I like woods. And indeed, Mr. Sawyer, when he bought this piece of property 40 years ago, did so, it's in his own handwriting that I like woods, okay? But simply for people who may be new to town meeting or maybe new to the Wareham Land Trust, I just wanted to say that we're a nonprofit 501c3 organization who's worked many times with the town. Our mission is to protect open space and natural resources in Wareham. We've already worked to acquire the signed PNS for less than the assessed value on this. We have 2 appraisals, one for the value of the property and one actually for the value of the conservation restriction that will be placed on it. We've done an environmental assessment, which was negative, and we have, we've done the title insurance, and we have a survey on this. So I ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gentleman behind you.
Madam Moderator, before he gets to the mic, the Select Board recommended 5-0-0 to recommend favorable action.
I apologize.
And the Finance Committee recommends approval of this Article 900.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Jason Boucher, I live in Rose Point. I want to speak to support this. In addition to being a resident of Wareham, I'm also the head of the Conservation Committee with the Southeastern chapter of Trout Unlimited, which represents about 400 members across the southeast of Massachusetts. We've spent the past 20 years actively trying to conserve Red Brook. For those who might not be aware, it has one of the last remaining populations of salter brook trout. We're very privileged to have this, and we've done everything we can to protect it, and we'd like to see this continue, and this land acquisition will help to accomplish that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, the lady at the microphone.
Hi, Denise Wolk. I live in Pinehurst. I also like trees, and I think that this is a good use of our funds to preserve this coastal pine barrens and keep that piece intact. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 13? Seeing no one rising to be heard, I'll go to a vote on Article 13. If we could throw the motion up there. Thanks. All those in favor of the motion under Article 13, that the town approve Article number 13 as printed in the warrant, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. Passes unanimously. Article 9. Is there a motion on Article 9?
Madam Moderator, Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer the available funds and the sum of money as the share of the operating and capital cost of the Upper Cape Cod Technical Regional High School District for fiscal year July 1, 23 through June 30, 24, or to do or to act in any manner related thereto.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded on Article 9. May I have the report and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Madam Moderator, the Finance Committee voted 9-0-0.
Favorable, right?
Favorable, excuse me.
May I have the report and recommendation of the Select Board?
Select Board voted 4-0-0 for recommend favorable action.
Is there anything further to be said on Article 9? Is the super?
I didn't see, I was going to say Mr. Forget here tonight, but this was just going through real quick. This year it was a small increase, even though we had well, not necessarily small, but a little under $100,000 increase, and there were a few extra students. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see. There you go. Yeah. No, I think just call for
it. Is anything further to be said on Article 9? Seeing no one rising to be heard, I will call for vote on Article 9. in the motion that appears up on the screen. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes unanimously. Article 18. Is there a motion on Article 18?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town appropriate the remaining amount of $7,491,377 for the purpose of paying costs of the remaining roof portions of the roof replacement project at Wareham Middle School at 4 Viking Drive, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto the project, which proposed repair project would materially extend the useful life of the school and preserve an asset that otherwise is capable of supporting the required educational program, and for which the town has applied for a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA. Said amount to be expended under the direction of the School Building Committee. To meet this appropriation, the Select Board authorized the Town Treasurer to borrow said amount under MGL Chapter 44 or pursuant to any other enabling authority. The town acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement, discretionary program based on need, as determined by the MSBA, and if the MSBA's Board of Directors votes to invite the town to collaborate with the MSBA on this proposed repair project, any project costs the town incurs in excess of the grant that may be approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the town. If invited to collaborate with the MSBA on the proposed repair project, the amount of borrowing authorized pursuant to this vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed between the town and the MSBA.
Second.
It's been a motion made and seconded on Article 18. May I have the report and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee voted favorably, 7-0-0.
May I have the report and recommendation of the Select Board?
The Select Board voted to take no action.
Mr. Slavin.
Are you sure about that?
Well, we have the superintendent standing. I'm sure that you're Mr. Slavin.
I just want to say something ahead of time, because if you notice, it says no action. What happened was we had a meeting, and I'm pretty even-keeled most of the time, but I asked a question, and the answer I got back at the time basically, in simple English, pissed me off. And the board went ahead and we voted no action. The bottom line here is we have to go ahead and do the roof. You can't have the water running down on the kids. You can't destroy the school, etc. And myself and Mr. Pigeon, who is the chair of the Finance Committee, met with the school committee chair and also with the superintendent. And I believe we resolved our issues going forward for the next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman at the microphone.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Matt DeAndrea. I am Superintendent of Schools. This warrant article would support Phase 2 of the roof replacement project at the Wareham Middle School. At the fall town meeting, it was voted $1.5 million to complete Phase 1. Phase 1 will be completed this summer of 2023. And with a affirmative vote this evening, this work will be done during the summer of 2024. So I just want to quickly give you some information before you take tonight's vote. If we could go to the next slide, please. Just a little background on the middle school, built in 1956. It was renovated and had an addition in 2004. We currently serve approximately 450 students, grades 5 through 7, and it is 167,000 square feet. Next slide is, this is the roof plan for the middle school. All of the areas circled in red are areas where water is entering the building. We have done, as part of the feasibility study, 50 test cuts on the roof, and water has penetrated all areas, all sections of the roof. The roof has, at this point, essentially failed. Next slide, please. So the next few slides just show standing water on the roof. It is no longer pitched correctly and is not draining off the roof. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. Okay, and we have several areas in the building where water is entering and doing damage to the school. Next slide, please. Again, this is the roof plan section. The section in yellow is the section that will be completed in the summer of 2023. The area in green is the area in which we are asking you to vote on tonight. It will be approximately $7,491,377 to complete that work, and that would be completed in the summer of 2024. There will be some reimbursement money coming with this project. Next slide, please. Actually, skip that one and do the next slide. So the entire project, phase 1 and phase 2, would be $8,991,377. We would receive $2,234,847 reimbursement from the state, for a total of the town's share for the project, $6,756,530. There is the work for phase 1 did come in under budget so far, so we anticipate that there will be some savings there, and we're hoping for the same on phase 2. The town will fund this by borrowing over a 10-year period, and the payments will be built into the FY24 budget. This is a project that is desperately needed at the middle school, and I ask for your support for this warrant article.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on this article? Yes, gentleman at the microphone.
Hi, I'm Peter Call, still. I just a statement at first. I mean, why are we still building buildings, schools, etc., with flat roofs? It makes no sense, as far as I'm concerned, to do that, and we keep on doing it. Just some quick math. It's going to cost $7 million to do this, 450 students. That's $15,555 per student. I got an idea. Why don't we just give each student $15,000 to get an education, and we save $2,497,050 by giving them only $15,000 a piece instead of $5,500 or $1,500.
Mr. Teitelbaum.
Thank you. Actually, I have a question. Is the new roof different from the old roof that was a seagull magnet for bombing with quahogs, which I understand led to its earlier than expected demise?
Is there anyone that can answer the question?
Okay, well, maybe we can open a skeet range there on the
Well,
weekend.
I think, wait, the superintendent may be able to answer your question.
It will be an entirely new roof. I know it's a PVC type roof, which is similar to the type that is developed now. We are looking at ways in which we can discourage the seagulls from dropping the clams onto the roof.
You may have heard me suggest a skeet range there. Thank you.
Mr. Ashley.
Madam Moderator, through you to the body, I think it's pretty safe to say that it's hard to get an education while you're using your desk as a life raft. So I would suggest that we get this problem fixed and that we vote in favor of this article. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Slavin.
Yes, Sandy Slavin, Precinct 3. Something has come up, and I'd like to share. When you build a brand new basketball court, paint it blue. They will not drop shells into the water. So paint the top of the school blue, and the seagulls will not drop their shells in the water and lose it. A dark shell, a dark color says, oh, it's going to crack and I can get the insides like a parking lot. Blue's a good color. Thank you.
Thank you. Lady at the microphone.
Nancy McHale, Precinct 5, former chair of the Solar Bylaw Study Committee. My question is, are we replacing this giant flat roof without any thought to perhaps solar energy on it?
If there's anyone that can answer the question.
It just seems to me to be a shame to have that much space and no alternative energy. Thank you.
Yes, to answer the question.
Yes, we are looking at solar for all 3 of our schools for the opportunities to do that.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 18? Seeing no one standing, I will call for a vote on Article 18. This is a borrowing article, so it requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of the motion under Article 18 as appears on the screen, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. Nay. It passes by a vote, 2/3 voice majority. Article 12. Is there a motion on Article 12?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town approve Article 12 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded on Article 12. May I have the report and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee voted not to recommend 180.
May I have a vote and recommendation of the Select Board?
The Select Board voted not to recommend 0 by 5 votes.
Is there anything further to be said on Article 12? There's a lady at the microphone, please.
Yes, Donna Gerard from Onset. I think it's Precinct 2, I'm not sure. Been there for 58 years voting at the same place, so I don't know. But these people, when they came into town, Onset didn't want them. They asked them not to build there. They snubbed their nose at us and said, we're going to do it anyway, and got a 40B exemption. And now they're coming to the town and asking us for $400,000. I think we should tell them they should have planned better. This is wrong. Our the Onset Water District, the well fields are right near that property. It's just a bad move. And I don't think we should give anything to them. So I hope you vote no on this.
Thank you. Mrs. Ekstrom.
Thank you. Brenda Ekstrom, Precinct 2. I agree with the previous speaker. This area is 100, right now, currently, they're building 150 units. They're looking to build 63 more on a separate piece, but it's the same lot. I've looked up the information. The group that went in front of the zoning board in favor of this, they've already sold it. So there's a new developer doing it. Excuse me. Also, let me think. Yeah, the developer's a different developer. They are looking to do 63 more units, which right now with 150, you figure someone said 2 cars, that's 300, plus another 60, that's 120. You're talking over 400 cars at the intersection where the 7-Eleven is. Also, this is put in by W2C, where is it? Yeah, W2C Owner LLC. There is no W2C Owner LLC in the state of Massachusetts, and I looked in Delaware because that's usually a popular place, and I couldn't find it there either. WC Owner...
30 seconds.
Thank you. WC Owner LLC is the original one. This one is phase 2. It's a totally separate thing, and they don't even own the land according to the Registry of Deeds, which I have the deeds here as well. So please vote this down. We don't need 500 cars at 7-Eleven.
Yes, gentleman at the microphone.
Point of order, Madam Moderator. The company is here to speak on behalf of the article.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize that you were here. I'm going to ascertain that. I don't need your assistance. Are you a voter in town, sir? And your name is? Say again? Penn Lindsay. So I'm going to ask the body if you would allow Mr. Lindsay to speak on behalf of this article. All in favor, please signify by stating aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay.
Nay.
The nays have it. So the next speaker.
Thank you, Madam. I'm James Egan. I'm Precinct 2, and this development has been a disaster for our neighborhood. I don't know if any of my neighbors have gone down Red Brick Road, but it's become a commercial highway, and it's become dangerous, and kids, are walking along there. There's more cars than ever, and we're talking about adding 63 more units. It's a disaster, and the property now where they're building, there's trash everywhere. What a good neighbor we have. All behind the fence, all kinds of construction trash. They are not a good neighbor. They're not good for our neighborhood. I really ask my citizens to vote this down. They don't deserve any support, and they're not good neighbors.
Gentleman behind you. Cool. Yes. I'm sorry. I don't always look that direction, but thank you for reminding me. Go ahead.
Thank you. Jared Chadwick, Glen Charlie Road Precinct. After doing some research, it's come to my attention that when you guys started this entire project, we came to you and said, correct me if I'm wrong, we would like to see some senior housing in this town. And for lack of better terms, your lawyers kind of just said, screw off. And at this point in time, without helping us, I honestly don't see any reason whatsoever to help you. I'll just keep it that short. Thank you.
And since I'm looking in that direction, Mr. Bessie.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So earlier tonight, I stood up and spoke for another for-profit enterprise to give some funds to. I stand up against this one, and I'll make it short and sweet. The difference between the two projects is when we went to this developer and asked for specific things to happen, they didn't grant one of the requests, not one. So as much as I agreed with project number 1, the difference between the two projects is that, we want to have friendly neighbors. We want to have businesses that are making money, but they have some interests for us in town. And not once did we get any interest in what we were asking for. When they came before us to request it and we asked it again, the response was the same. So as a town, I feel like it was a slap in the face that
you're asking us to give you something, but you can't give us something even minute in return. So I would ask that we would stand up against the request of this petitioner for this money, because it's not being spent in a way that makes sense for us as a town. We're forced with this project. We didn't really have an opportunity to, well, we had an opportunity to push it away, but unfortunately this is something that I like to call, or anybody likes to call, a hostile situation that we didn't really have a chance to control. I'm almost done. So I would ask that you vote this down for the one simple reason, and that is that this organization, this company, didn't want to work with us one bit.
Gentleman at the microphone.
Yeah. Good evening. My name's Dan Perdios, and I live on White Tunis Ave and off of Red Brook Road. And, you know, I think it's pretty safe to say that most people in this room have driven on Red Brook Road, because it's a great road to get from Cranberry Highway to the other side of town and to get on the highways. But what I also think is that most people in this room have never walked on Red Brook Road. And I have to, because in order to get from my house to the Lyman Reserve, I have to cross that street. And every time I do it, I take my life in my hands, because if you stand there waiting for the traffic to subside, you could get blown away. Those cars are going so fast that they create this breeze as they're going by. And this traffic, it's unending. It just goes on and on and on. And let me tell you, who else walks on that road? I have a neighbor, Michael, and he's a student at the Cape Cod Vo-Tech, and he comes home on that road every day after school. And every time I go by and I see him there, I say a little prayer that Michael's not going to get run over when he's walking home. And there's another person. There's a woman who walks her baby in a stroller.
30 seconds.
I've seen it twice now. She walks her baby on this road, and it's insane that she's doing it. There's kids on their bikes on this road. There's people walking their dogs on this road. So I'm asking you not to let more traffic come onto this road, because pedestrian traffic and car traffic do not mix. It's like oil and water. We're creating a situation that's going to be
please sum up. Your time is up.
there's going to be a fatality because of this project. So please vote it down.
Yes, lady behind you.
Hi, Lucille Dotson, Precinct 2. And just want to say we really need to vote this down. I don't know if you all remember, I went to, when Woodland Cove was in the very beginning stages, I went to every single meeting for a year, if not a little more, and I spoke at nearly every single meeting, trying to get this town to put in, I know we can't say no to 40B, but we can put in restrictions, and there were no restrictions put in place at all. And then even during all of the ZBA meetings and everything, it was absolutely disgusting when Woodland Cove would put up their traffic study, and their traffic study was done in, the month of January, and it's like, give me a break. I mean, you can see right now how the disaster it's going to be the way it is right now. I live in Indian Mound Beach, and it's going to be crazy. I'm grateful that we have another way out of that neighborhood, because it's going to be crazy there. I'm very, very upset of what's gone on there, as well as the fact, as I mentioned to Derek last night, that now Indian Mound Beach, with all of the road construction, as well as what's going on in Woodland Cove, as well as what's going on catty corner to that, which again, that's another disaster going on there with the change of 20 units being sold, and now they got their approvals to get rented, that now Indian Mound Beach, we have rats in our neighborhood that we've never had before. That needs to be addressed.
30-second warning.
As well as it's also on Onset Ave. This is a really big problem that really needs to be corrected. Vote this down. They do not care one bit about this community, and they need to hear us loud and clear.
Mr. Sylvia.
Cliff Sylvia, Precinct 1, and I'd like to move the question.
I have a motion to move the question and a second. There's not a debatable motion. All those in favor of the motion to move the question, please signify by stating aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. The motion to move the previous question has passed, so we're going to go to a vote on Article 12. The motion on Article 12, I move that the town approve Article number 12 as printed in the warrant. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by stating aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by stating nay. Nay. The nays have it. The motion fails. Article 21. Is there a motion on Article 20?
Madam Moderator, Article 21.
Article 21, Town of Wareham Playground Revolving Fund, to see if the town will vote to approve the following General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53.5, revolving funds by inserting the following table as printed in the warrant.
Second.
So let me just, I think there was sort of a last-minute correction to this. The motion, it was really just a technical thing. Yeah, it's fine. So motion made and seconded that the town vote to approve the following, et cetera, et cetera. May I have the vote and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Moderator, the Finance Committee voted 8-0-0.
May I have the vote in favor? And may I have a vote and recommendation of the Select Board?
The Select Board voted 4-1-0 for favorable recommendation.
Thank you, and I recognize Mrs. Smith. I understand you're the petitioner on this article.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. Many of our playgrounds that have recently been upgraded and made new again have done so by groups of volunteers who have gathered together and either went for community preservation funds or fundraised and used donations. If any of you have visited any of the playgrounds, you'll see that they have done a marvelous job, and we should be very thankful for those that have taken the time to do it. The amount of community preservation funds that have been used between the Lukey Playground, the Oakdale, Lopes, Shangri-La, and the Swiss Beach Playground amounts to over $800,000, approximately $843,000. That does not include the grants, nor does it include the fundraising that's been done. Part of the problem that the playgrounds had deteriorated so much over the years because there was no maintenance done to them. So in working with some of the groups to work on a playground, it came to me that we have to take care of it. We're going to invest close to $1 million on our playgrounds. Going forward, we need to take care of them. We need to have maintenance. And the way to do that was to create a revolving fund so that these groups could continue to raise money, put it into the revolving fund. And you will see if you look at the chart up there, I don't know if you can read it, but I can tell you that it will be administered through municipal maintenance. It will only be for playground maintenance and repairs, and it will be funded by grants, fundraising, donations, and rentals. So that's how it will be funded. The cap will be $100,000 to that revolving fund. I just think it's a no-brainer. We need to take care of and appreciate the hard work that has gone into this, and thank the people that have done it. And going forward in 10 or 15 years, we don't want to start doing this over again. So I think it's imperative as a community that we take care of what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anything further to be said on Article 21? Yes, lady at the microphone.
Millie Burrows, Precinct 6. I just have a question about the money, and can it be used to towards a salary for a body to be able to do the maintenance? Because it's not just, you know, equipment and tools and paint or whatever, it's having the manpower to do it.
I think the answer to that question is salaries, no, could not be paid from this fund.
So we would be doing this maintenance from the crew that we currently have?
Currently do.
Just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Purchase materials. Madam Moderator, through to the previous speaker, all this does is set up a potential revenue source in a revolving fund. In order to have a revolving fund, town meeting has to adopt a bylaw, which is what this would do. It allows for use of revolving fund money for certain purposes. Once a revolving fund is established, at that point, a plan could be put in place to expend from the fund if money actually comes into it. But until that first predicate step of setting up the fund occurs, no plan can be set up.
So am I to understand that it's possible that once it's established, some planning and work can go on to make staffing available to carry it out?
Madam Moderator, through you,
Yes.
previous speaker, that is a possibility. It's all contingent on the amount of funding that actually comes in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mrs. Slavin.
Yes, Sandy Slavin, Precinct 3. I am part of open space, but I'm not standing here as being involved in open space or CPC, which has been involved in the creation of the 4 playgrounds. But just to clarify, if a organization raises money like CORE to do any work at Lopes, it could not be done because it has to go into this fund. And this fund then decides how that equipment is repaired, but we don't know what staff will do the repairing. I guess first question, any money raised by any organization for a specific playground has to go into this fund? That's my first question.
Madam Moderator, through the previous speaker, I don't agree with your conclusion. Anytime someone or an organization donates money to the town, well, I won't say it any time, but quite often there's an expression from the donor as to how that money should be spent. Among lawyers, it's called the donative intent. And so when a party gives money to the town, we always look to the donative intent, and we're bound to spend the money in accordance with the wishes of the donor. So I certainly would defer to the article proponent as to how that would mesh with the proposed article. But what I can say is that to the extent that there is no donative intent expressed, somebody gives money and says, I want to fix up playgrounds, but doesn't specify which one or how, presumably that sort of donation could go into this account. But again, I'd defer to the proponent.
I'm just not sure of the source of this 100,000. It's hard to believe that someone would be raising money for a specific playground and not want it for that playground, as opposed to putting it into a generic place that could be used to repair the swing at Ellis or Indian Mound or any of the other 9 playgrounds we have in town. Thank you.
Mrs. Ekstrom.
Thank you, Brenda Ekstrom, Precinct 2. I just wanted to get some clarification on the revolving fund. The $100,000, that would be the maximum amount that could go into it, correct?
That's correct.
Per year, okay. And so if by chance, through grants, fundraising, and donations, they only raise $25,000, then that's all that can be spent on it? Am I correct?
That would be the max, or what could roll over if you don't expend it.
Okay, and one more thing, and I don't know if you could answer it, but I would like to ask municipal maintenance if they could tell us if this would or could work for them. I know that we have the same number of guys there that we've had since maybe '94, or maybe less guys now. So I'd like to see if this would help them. I mean, I know that they're in charge of doing it, and as the previous speaker said, as far as payroll, if we could get that much could even we do like a contract thing or something? Because I think it's a great idea. It's just a matter of making sure that we don't overburden them and making sure we have enough money for everything. Thank you.
Yeah, now, if I'll take the liberties for answering on behalf of the Municipal Maintenance Department, and I apologize, I had to run out. I don't know if this water makes you smarter, but it goes through you up here. So, just listening to what you said, I think anything would help municipal maintenance. It would also allow us to potentially hire a contractor if something needs to be fixed. Sometimes even these new playgrounds that we all think in our mind will last forever, a slide will crack, or there's some chipping. So I think this could be beneficial. It could be used if every year somebody, we were lucky enough for somebody to donate. You could potentially plan some of the, to offset some salaries if we started having people work outside of the hours, or do something like that. So I see it as beneficial, and I don't see it as a negative for the municipal maintenance department. Look, they're cleaning and working on the playgrounds. I think one of the things is, what we're not necessarily doing is, when a piece of equipment that's 5, 10, 15,000 is breaking, we're not necessarily replacing that right away, because we don't really have the budget to do that. So this is where I see it as being a benefit. So long-winded, I apologize.
Thank you. A lady at the microphone.
Hi, Denise Wolk, formerly of Swiss Beach, now in Pinehurst. I lived in the area, in the neighborhood, when the old, ugly, unsafe, scary Connolly playground was there. And I was personally really glad to see them rip it down, and very sad to see nothing replace it for more than a year, while the group that put together the new, beautiful, shiny playground worked so hard to make that happen. From what I understand, this will allow the collection and a placeholder for monies to continue to repair big ticket items, say a slide cracks or the pirate ship sinks or something like that happens. So it provides the town with the means by which to buy these things. Even if municipal maintenance are the ones that actually end up installing it. It seems to me that this is the means to an end and the beginning of creating the way for us to maintain these things we've worked so hard to build. And if I understand that correctly, I suggest that we support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 21?
Yes, Carol Melanson, Precinct 6. Currently, we do not have the municipal maintenance manpower to do all that we'd like to do in this town. Having worked on the Shangri-La playground, I'm a member of Open Space. Overall, this is a really good idea, to have a fund to maintain and upgrade playgrounds as it's needed. But it goes too far outside what we should be able to do. If, for example, Swift's Beach holds a big fundraiser to put towards something new in their playground, that money is a fundraiser done by the residents of that neighborhood for that playground. That money shouldn't go into a general fund that's a revolving fund that can be used on any playground for maintenance. They worked hard to raise that money. Same thing with any other playground that wants to raise funds for something specific for their playground. So I think overall this is a good idea, to be able to have a fund to maintain our playgrounds. It needs to be a little better thought out and brought back before town meeting again. Thank you.
Thank you. Lady behind you at the microphone.
Kim Scheib, I live in Pinehurst. I quite frankly think it's irrelevant whether maintenance, the number of maintenance people are large or small regarding this proposal. They're already taking care of playgrounds. If people want to donate or fundraise or whatever. They can have directed donations, is what I heard from the selectmen. So it doesn't have to go into this fund. I mean, if people want to direct their donations to a specific project, they can. If they just want to give money to maintain the playgrounds, they can put it in here. And if something breaks, we can fix it. And if we have to wait a little while to fix it because we don't have staffing, we may have to. Or in 10 years from now when we have $100,000 in, there might be more people that work for maintenance. I think this is a great idea. You know, it doesn't cost us anything. And I would support moving forward with it.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 21? Seeing no one standing, we're going to go to a vote on Article 21 to approve the Town of Wareham Playground Revolving Fund as appears on the screen. All those in favor of the motion under Article 21, please signify by stating aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes by a majority voice vote. Article 10. Is there a motion on Article 10?
Yes, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to appropriate $7,202,411 from the Water Pollution Control Facility, the WPCF, enterprise revenues, and $1,147,951 WPCF betterment revenue / betterment reserves to defray WPCF direct costs, and that $401 as appropriated under Article 7 of the Spring 2023 Annual Town Meeting be used for WPCF indirect costs to fund the total fiscal year 2024 operation cost of the Water Pollution Control Facility Enterprise Fund.
Second.
There's been a motion made and second on Article 10. May I have the vote and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Madam Moderator, the Finance Committee voted to approve 9-0-0.
May I have the vote and recommendation of the Select Board?
Select Board recommended 401 for favorable action.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 10?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. If you go to the Town Administrator's handout, you'll see 3 pages that break down the information from the Water Pollution Control Facility, including their revenue sources, where the main budget lines are. Then it breaks down departmental personnel on page 8. Page 9 is the expenses, and then page 10 is the indirect costs calculation.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 10? Seeing no one standing, we'll go to a vote on Article 10 on the motion as it appears on the screen. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. It passes unanimously.
Go for 16.
Article 16.
Madam Moderator, through you to the Town Administrator, Article 16 is a repeat of some issues that were covered in S12. Is it possible that the intent was to withdraw this?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, okay. So there's a motion to withdraw, pass over Article 16. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay.
I'm not sure that's right.
Of course, I'm the Finance Committee.
No, we need this one done.
Article 7. Is there a motion on Article 7?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Jody Smith, Finance Committee. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate from levy, state, and local receipts the sum of $67,645,211 and transfer $858,401 from the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund, $272,950 from fiscal year 24 Community Preservation Act estimated revenues, and $53,750 from harbor service permit fees to fund the fiscal 24 budget as presented in the administrative handout.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded on Article 7, the FY24 budget. May I have the report and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee voted 7-0-0 to recommend.
May I have the vote and recommendation of the Select Board?
Select Board voted 5-0-0 to recommend.
So as we have done in the past, what I'm going to do is read the line items for the budget. If there was anyone that wishes to speak on any of the line items, please call out, hold, and we will go back to you and we'll discuss or address whatever question you might have on that. Town meetings, wages. Town meetings, expenses. Selectmen's wages. Selectmen's expenses. Town administrator wages. Town administrator expenses. Finance committee expenses. Reserve fund. Town accountant wages. Town accountant expenses. Audit. Assessors wages. Assessors expenses. Treasurer wages. Treasurer expenses. General services wages. General services expenses. Legal services. Personnel services wages. Personnel services expenses. Information management technology wages. Information management technology expenses. Information management technology communications. Town clerk wages. Town clerk expenses. Elections and registration wages. Elections and registrations expenses. Planning and community development wages. Planning and community development expenses. Sick bonus wages. Police wages. Police expenses. Police capital. Inspectional services wages. Inspectional services expenses. Division of Natural Resources wages. Division of Natural Resources expenses. Municipal maintenance and public buildings wages. Municipal maintenance and public buildings. Snow and ice wages. Snow and ice expenses. Streetlights general. Board of Health wages. Board of Health expenses. Council on Aging wages. Council on Aging expenses. Commission on Disabilities. Veterans Council. Library wages. Library expenses. Historical District Commission. Historical Committee. Education, local schools. Net school spending. Non-net school spending, pupil transportation. Fixed costs, debt exclusion, new school debt principal, debt exclusion, new school debt interest, debt exclusion, new school debt short-term interest, debt principal, debt interest long-term, debt interest short-term, community preservation, debt principal, community preservation, debt interest, harbor service, debt principal, harbor service, debt interest, other costs, veterans assessments, SERPID assessment, employee benefits, pension retirement contribution. I'm not sure what this acronym is. LUNA, L-I-U-N-A, workers' compensation, 111F, town insurance, general and professional liability, unemployment, medical insurance, life insurance, FICA, Medicare. So I've heard no holds with regard to the budget, so we will go to a motion regarding the budget. Is there anything further to be said on the motion regarding the budget for FY24?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. For a little change of pace, I want to give some positive news for us to hear. So in the first time in close to a decade, we've seen an increase in our net state aid. So that's the state aid we receive from the Commonwealth for the schools, general government, some other items. It makes up about 26% of our whole revenue. So just to give you an example of what we've had to work with, in 2014, our net state aid was about 12.6 million. This year, our net state aid was about 11.7, so it had been going down. Next year, through both budgets that have been presented so far, we're at about 13.7 million. So some of the promises that have been coming from the legislature and Beacon Hill have been coming to fruition. So that's a bit of good news. This is probably, it sounds counterintuitive, but health insurance only rose 4.5% in a inflationary environment. A 4.5% increase is actually is pretty good. Our pension obligations did increase. They're larger than what we've seen in the past, but basically all the positivity, what it means is we were able to budget and not ask you for funding outside of this budget for the middle school roof, for the requests from some of the department. And some really good news, this year we had fully funded a COA director. For FY24, we're going to fully fund out of the budget and outreach coordinator. And there's some other small ones in the town clerk's office. When Michelle came on board, we cut the clerical position to a part-time. Now that she's leaving, we'll bring it back up to full-time. So you're welcome, Michelle. So there's been some good news. So I appreciate, just wanted to present that to everybody tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Is there anything further to be said on the motion on the budget for FY24? Seeing no one standing, we will go to a vote on the motion as it appears on the screen on the FY24 budget. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, please signify by stating nay. The passes by a majority voice vote. And I believe Article 16. That really is the last one. And I want to thank everyone for hanging in here with us. I hear reports back that chairs are not exactly comfy, and I appreciate your being here and participating. Article 16, is there a motion on Article 16? What's that? Oh, okay. All right, I'm being told, we had a little debate about that, but I'm being told that we have in fact addressed all the articles in the annual town meeting warrant. I will entertain a motion to dissolve the town meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to dissolve the town meeting. Thank you very much, and you all have a nice evening.
Thank you for 4 years of fun, Michelle.